मन्नाथ श्री जगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्री जगद्गुरु मदात्मा सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अहो वकीयं स्तनकालकूटं जिघांसयापाययदप्यसाध्वी लेभे गतिं धात्र्युचितां ततोऽन्यं कं वा दयालुं शरणं व्रजेम। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण। यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंह देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Dear devotees, we'll have a few minutes of Nam Sankirtan, and after that I'll explain the story of Prahlad. मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी। मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी। राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी। मेरी 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 राधा रानी, मेरी राधा रानी। अलबेली सरकार की। Tonight I'm going to explain to you the story of Prahlad. Last night I talked about Dhruv, and the night before I talked in general about what a saint is and how a soul can become a saint. The story of Prahlad is very well known. I would say he's probably one of the most well-known saints in our history, in our divine history. People know the story, but the philosophy underlying the story or illustrated by the life of Prahlad, that's as important or more important than knowing the story. So tonight I'll explain in brief the main events in Prahlad's life that concern us as devotees, and then we'll spend quite a bit of time trying to understand the philosophy that is represented in all of Prahlad Ji's Leelas. Prahlad is another child devotee of God, meaning he became God-realized at a very early age. His story, devotionally speaking, starts even before he was born, though, because he happens to be the son of Hiranyakashyap, or Hiranyakashipu, same name for, or two names for the same demon. A great powerful demon who was so powerful that he had conquered not only this earth planet but all of Swarg as well. He took Indra's throne. Indra was off hiding somewhere. He wasn't even living in his own abode because this Prahlad Ji's father, Hiranyakashipu, he had control over that section of Swarg. He was a very powerful demon who controlled the whole earth planet as well as much of Swarg. Now Indra, who had lost his throne, his seat, to Hiranyakashipu, he decided when he heard that his wife was pregnant, the demon's wife was pregnant, that no, I can't allow this child to be born because he's going to cause me even more problems than his father did. So he kidnapped his wife and was taking her off, and Naradji came and saved her and said, Indra, no, you don't want to do this. You don't know who is in her womb. He's a great devotee of Krishna. So Naradji took her back to his ashram, and while she was there waiting, out her pregnancy, Naradji kept care of her and gave her devotional instructions. He explained the spiritual philosophy to her. Prahlad was in the womb and he heard all of that. So he had the total knowledge by the time he was born. He was a born devotee of God, in the house of the sworn enemy of God. Because Hiranyakashipu had a younger brother, past tense, had a younger brother, Hiranyaksh, who, because Hiranyakashipu was ruling the whole kingdom, his younger brother just went around everywhere looking for a good fight. Who can challenge me? No one's as strong as I am. And of course, no one would challenge him. One time he went down in the ocean and he got hold of Varun and he said, yeah, I'll fight against you. And Varun said, no, I'm not fighting against you. Only God could fight against you. No one else would have the power. Oh, and by the way, when God comes and does fight against you, he's going to kill you. And Hiranyaksha said, oh, we'll see about that. He was so proud and arrogant. So when Supreme God descended as Varaha avatar in the form of a divine boar, at that time Hiranyaksha took the opportunity to challenge him to a fight. And Vishnu in that form said, if you know what's best for you, you'll just walk away. He gave him every chance to walk away, but Hiranyaksha would not have it any other way. He attacked Vishnu, and Vishnu easily killed him, meaning Vishnu in the form of that boar. So he had killed Hiranyakashipu's younger brother, so now the older brother had sworn that he would get revenge. And the first chance he got, he would fight against God. And for as long as he ruled, nobody in his kingdom would be allowed to worship God. He said, anybody caught worshiping God, I'm going to send my soldiers after you. There's only one God here, it's me. You worship me. Nobody here worships Vishnu, Krishna, anything like that. And Prahlad is born as his son. Kripaluji Maharaj always says, as a lesson to parents, that if Prahlad can be born in the house of a demon, and Shri Krishna, many of his offspring became such a problem that he had to arrange such a leela where they got in a big fight and they all eliminated each other. They had become such a burden to the earth. So if they can be born in the family of Krishna and Prahlad can be born in the family of a demon, then how do you know how your child is going to turn out? You have to try, you do your duty, but that child comes with their own sanskars. You may have a saint born to you, you may have a rakshas born to you. You still have the same duty as a parent, but you can't control another person's mind. So anyway, Prahlad was born in the home of Hiranyakashipu. And from the time he was born, internally he was worshipping Vishnu, thinking of Krishna all the time, chanting his name in his heart. His father didn't know. When Prahlad got a little older, his father sent him to the Gurukul. So there in the Gurukul, it's not the kind of Gurukul you're used to thinking about. Visually, it might have looked the same, but what they taught was what demons need to learn. Don't do anything to help anyone else. You think of your own desires and do whatever you need to fulfill those desires. Don't worry if you hurt anybody else. Just have fun and enjoy the world. So this kind of teaching goes on in the demon Gurukul. That's what those boys are supposed to be learning. Now, Prahlad came back home after some time, just had some time to visit with his family. And his father sits him on his lap, and he's so happy to have his son there. He's lovingly holding him and talking to him. And he says, my son, please tell me what makes you happy. Just, he wanted to have some conversation, learn how his son thinks. He wasn't expecting what the next words out of his son's mouth. Oh, Father, I just like thinking of God Vishnu all the time. His father was shocked. What? You dare take the name of my enemy in this house? But he directed his anger towards the teachers in the Gurukul. He called them, sent for them, and demanded to know, what are you teaching my son in this Gurukul? Are you teaching him devotion to God? No, we're not teaching any such thing. We're only teaching the boys how to be good demons. Well, I'm giving you another chance. You better, teach him the right thing, get this nonsense out of his head. So Prahlad went back to the Gurukul, and there in the Gurukul, Whenever he got a chance, he would sit with his friends of a similar age. He was about 6 years old at this time. And he would strike up some devotional conversation with them and give them some instructions that if you want to feel peace, you should just think of God. You belong to God. He's giving life to your soul. You have to do devotion to Him. You have to attain Him now. He told them, Kaumar acharet pragyo dharmo dharman bhagavataniha. Don't wait until you grow up to start doing devotion to God. Do it in your kaumar avastha. It means you're 5, 6 years old. Don't wait until you become 11, 12 or 15, 16 years old. How do you know if you're going to live that long? Start devotion to God now. So he would have these private conversations with the other boys and they would all listen to him. Then again it happened. He came back home. He was sitting with his father again and his father asked him, so tell me, son, what kind of things do you like to do? So Prahlad thought for a second and he said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishno Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyamatma Nivedanam. He described 9 different ways of worshiping God. He said, that's what I like to do, Father. At this point, his father had had enough. He said that I've given you so many chances now, and if you're not going to change your ways, you're taking the name of my sworn enemy, you're openly, brazenly worshiping him and declaring your devotion to him right in front of me. You are my enemy, you're not my son. Guards, he called the guards and told them, kill him. Use your swords, your spears. So all those guards came at Prahlad with their weapons and none of them could even touch him. Not that Prahlad moved, he was just there, but his mind was perfectly in Krishna all the time, so he was perfectly protected by Krishna all the time without asking for protection. Think of the high state of consciousness of Prahlad. To be faced with that danger, at this point he's 7 years old. To be faced with these grown warriors charging at him with weapons and to not even feel a flutter in his heart. His mind was just in Krishna. It didn't even matter to him. So when someone is in such a high state of devotion, Krishna takes his full care. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Gita. Shri Krishna says, if your mind is in me, in remembrance of me all the time, satatam means unbroken remembrance. Nitya abhiyukt. Abhiyukt means joined, and nitya means always. Then I take full responsibility for that soul. See, Prahlad wasn't thinking, oh, I'll just keep my mind in Krishna and then these warriors won't be able to touch me. If he had been thinking that, it means his mind wouldn't have been in Krishna. So he wouldn't have been protected. His mind was just in Krishna. He never gave a thought to the warriors. It was, if they weren't there, he would be thinking of Krishna. If they were there charging at him, he would be thinking of Krishna. So this is a law that Krishna laid down in the Gita. If anyone is in that state of remembrance of him all the time, he takes their full responsibility. It means physical, food, water, protection, everything. He takes full responsibility for that person. So he protected Prahlad not only that time, but again and again. They took him to the top of a big cliff, like a mountain that just dropped straight down and tossed him off. Nothing happened to him. Not even a hair was bent out of place on his head. They tried something else. They had some big, huge elephants and put Prahlad in front of them and let the elephants stampede over him. Nothing happened. Threw him in a pit of poisonous snakes. Nothing happened. Fed him poison. Nothing happened. Tried to drown him in the ocean. He was saved again. Then, of course, Holika, his aunt, had the boon that she couldn't be burnt from fire. So she had a plan. Let's, sit me on a big pile of firewood holding Prahlad, light it up, and then he'll be burnt and I won't. But she was saved again. Because who's omnipresent in the fire? Who's omnipresent in the mountain? Who's omnipresent in the poison? Because Prahlad's mind was in Krishna, so instead of getting the effect of the poison, he got the effect of Krishna, who was present in the poison. This is also an axiom, that although God is omnipresent, you don't get the effect of God's omnipresence unless your mind is joined with Him. Take, for instance, the murtis in this mandir or any other mandir. God is present in those murtis. But if we do arti, thinking we're doing arti to a piece of stone, then we are. You may argue that, but God is in that stone, so I'm doing arti to God. No, you're doing arti to wherever your mind is. So if your mind is in a piece of stone, you're doing arti to a piece of stone. And what's the outcome of that? Nothing. But if you're thinking God is in this piece of stone, because He is, He's everywhere, then you're doing arti to Krishna, who also happens to be in the murti. Then you will get God realized. If you could do that wholeheartedly even once, you'd become God realized. It's the same thing with attaching our mind. People say, well, God is in my husband. So if I love my husband and I serve my husband, or this husband says, if I love my wife and serve my wife, or the husband and wife say, if we love our children and serve our children, take care of them, am I not serving God because God is in them? No, because your mind is in the person, not in God. If you're thinking of Krishna while you're serving them, if you're seeing Krishna in them, just like you see real Krishna, real Radha in the murti, you see real Krishna in your husband, you see real Krishna in your child, then you're serving Krishna. But we can't just use it as an excuse that, oh, well, my mind is attached in that person, but, oh, Krishna is in them, so chalta hai. Nahi chalta hai. You'll get the result of a worldly attachment. So the mind has to be attached to Krishna. Thus, Prahlad only got the result of his mental attachment to Krishna. He drank the poison and it tasted like nectar to him because his mind was in Krishna. He got in the fire and he got the effect of, you can say, like a hug from Krishna. Because he was just thinking of Krishna, so he got Krishna, who was omnipresent in the fire. And Holika, whose mind wasn't in Krishna, got burnt by the fire. So Prahlad was saved from all of these situations. In the end, his father and him were having a conversation right there in the palace, and his father had said that, nobody else has been able to accomplish this task. I'm going to have to do it myself. He decided he was going to eliminate his own son. So he says to him, where's your God now? Is your God going to come and save you from me? You think God is in the house of a demon like me? Oh yes, Father. God is everywhere. He's even in your house. Oh really? Is he in this pillar? Big stone pillar in the center of the palace? Yes, Father, he is. Of course he is. He's everywhere. So Hiranyakashipu took his big mace and with all his might, he smashed it into that pillar. And there was a thunderous sound, not just from the impact of the mace, but from God appearing out of that pillar. And it just exploded as he appeared, as a half man, half lion. Narsingh Bhagwan, one of the 10 main avatar of God in this Brahmand. So, as Narsingh, he quickly dispatched Hiranyakashipu. He had had enough. He said, "You've tormented my devotee enough. You've terrorized all the 3 worlds. Enough is enough." Now, he did so in a way that only God could have, because Hiranyakashipu had received a boon from Brahma, which made him all but invincible. He did tapasya, and Brahma came and gave him, he said, "Okay, I'll grant you a boon. What do you want?" So he tried to cover all his bases. He couldn't literally ask for immortality. Brahma wouldn't give him that boon that, you'll live forever. So he tried to find a way around it. He said, "Grant me this boon, that I will not be killed by a man or a beast. I should not be killed by any weapon. I should not be killed in the day or in the night. I should not be killed inside or outside. I should not be killed on the ground or in the air." So Brahma granted his boon, and now God was coming to kill him. So he decided, "I'm going to honor Brahma's boon, yet still kill you. You think you're smart? Well, I'm smarter." So he came as half man from here down, half lion from here up, a huge, ferocious, divine lion. So he was neither man nor beast. He grabbed a hold of him. He didn't waste time. There wasn't much banter or fighting back and forth. He grabbed a hold of him, headed for the exit, but stopped before he got outside, just in the doorway. So he was not outside, but you can't say he's inside either. He's standing right in the doorway. He took him right on his lap, over his knees, so he wasn't in the air, but he wasn't on the ground. And the exact time was after the sun had set, so it wasn't day. But there was still some twilight, so it wasn't night, there was still some light. So Brahma, he had not broken the terms of Brahma's boon, and then he used his nails to kill him, so not a weapon. And Hiranyakashipu was dead, he was finished. And the world was rid of another demon, thanks to Bhagwan coming in that form. After that, Prahlad himself became king, and he ruled for a whole manvantar, more than 300 million years. That's the duration of a manvantar. This was in Satyug. Prahlad was a saint, so, according to the will of God, he could stay on earth for as long as God wanted him to. So he ruled for a long time. He was the ruler of the entire earth at that time. Now, this in gist is the story of Prahlad. Now, when Narsingh appeared to him, there was one more thing that happened after he had killed the demon. Then he told Prahlad, "Now ask for a boon." Prahlad thought to himself, he's telling me to ask him for something? In his heart, he felt that, I thought that I was his selfless devotee. I didn't have any idea in my mind to ask him for something because I consider myself to be his servant. And the dharma of a servant is to try to find what will please his master and do that thing. So the servant has to try to please the master. The servant doesn't make demands from the master that this will please me, do this thing for me. So Prahlad thought to himself that, is there some desire, some selfish desire in my heart? Is that why he's telling me to ask for something? He said, "My Lord, do you mind if before I ask for a boon, can I say something?" He said, "Okay, go ahead." He said, "Nasa bhritya savai banik." that servant, and I am a servant because I'm a soul and you're God. And in your own words, in the Vedas, every soul is a servant of God. So I'm your servant and you're telling me to ask for something. But the servant who asks for something is no servant. Nasa bhritya. He's not a bhritya. He's a banik, he's a baniya, a businessman. Because he's trying to trade. I did some service to you, now you give me this thing. He's trying to do some business with God. So he says, I don't want to be a businessman, I want to be your servant. In addition to that, he kept going on. Do you mind if I say more? Okay, go ahead. Keep in mind, Prahlad's 7 years old. Now he's lecturing Bhagwan. He says, as far as I understand, this is what happens when someone has a worldly desire. Indriyani mano prana atma dharmo dhritir mati Hri Shri Stejah Smriti Satyam Yasya Nashyanti Janmana. Nashyanti Janmana. The moment someone has a worldly desire come in their mind, what is destroyed? He named all those things. He says the power of your mind, intellect, your senses, your Atma Shakti, your Dhriti means your patience, that's gone. Your Mati, your ability to discriminate between right and wrong. Your Dharma, what your duty is, you'll forget about that if the worldly desire is strong enough. Hri, modesty. Shri, even your wealth and power will get finished if your desire gets out of control. Tej means your energy. Smriti, your memory. Satyam, your truthfulness. All of that is destroyed through the effect of a worldly desire being born in the mind. This is what 7-year-old Prahlad is telling him. He says, so I have no desire to have worldly desires. Why would I want a worldly desire when that's what happens? People become slaves to their desires. We don't think about it, but what do we spend most of our time doing? Trying to fulfill our desires. It means our life is ruled by our desires. So we are a slave to our desires. We don't do what we want, we do what our desires tell us to do. So we're not free in any way. Prahlad says, I don't want any desires. Should I say more? Okay, go ahead. He says that if someone could go beyond desires, Vimunchati yada kaman manavo manasisthitan tarhyeva pundari kaksha bhagavatvaya kalpate. If he could just get rid of his worldly desires, he's at that moment qualified to become like God. That's the only thing standing between him and that divine status is his worldly desires. And Prahlad isn't just making this up. Again, he could say, oh God, you yourself have said in the Vedas, Yada sarve pramuchyante kama yasya hridishritaha atha martyo mrito bhavatyatra brahma samashnute. In Ved, Bhagwan himself says that get rid of your desires and instantly you're liberated from all the bondages. You become just like God, like Brahma. Yo na kamayate kinchit brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Mahabharata says the exact same thing. So Prahlad is giving this lecture about desires, worldly desires, and how he doesn't want to have them. Narsingh Bhagwan says, that's fine and you're right, but it's tradition. whomever I appear in front of, I say Varmango, Varam Bruhi, and they ask for something. So let's not break the tradition. You also ask for something. Prahlad's thinking, oh, he's really not going to let me go today without asking him for something. So I have to ask him for something. He thought in his mind, okay, what to ask for? Oh, I have the best thing. Kamanam hridya sanroham bhavatastu vrinevaram. Okay, I'm asking for something. Yes, ask. Make my mind such that I should never even think of asking you for anything ever. That's the boon I want. Krishna had to accept defeat. He always has to accept defeat in front of his devotee. He is bound by the love of his devotees. So he accepted, okay, I'll give you this boon. You will never even think of asking me for anything ever again. So this young Bhakt Prahlad is the perfect example of selflessness. I'll bring this back to our devotion and our life. When we pray to God, how selfless are we? We may not have the focus of Dhruv. We may not have the understanding of Prahlad. But we can know this much, that God is smarter than us. See, we're probably not even as intelligent as Hiranyakashipu. And see, he applied his intellect to try to ask for the best boon he could think of. Yet, it wasn't enough. In the end, he didn't ask for the right thing. So if we're going to do devotion to God, why not leave it up to him? That's simple enough. He's all-knowing. If he's going to grace us with something, why not just say, I surrender to you. Now, whatever you want to give me, whenever you want to give it, I'll leave that up to you. I'm not asking you for anything, and there's no timeline. Then what are you doing? I'm just giving myself to you. That's it. I'm surrendering myself to you. What you do with me, what you give me, what you don't give me, when you do it, that's up to you. You're the all-knowing one. I'm just an ignorant child. Why should I tell you what's best for me? You already know what that is, so you can give it to me. That's a very important lesson of both. If you look at Hiranyakashipu and if you look at Prahlad, you see the contrast. And we're supposed to apply that selflessness in our devotion. This is what is stressed in Gita, it's stressed in Bhagavatam, it's stressed in Ramayana, that the highest form of bhakti is selfless bhakti. Although Dhruv did set an example of sakam bhakti, selfish bhakti, because he did it with a worldly ambition in his heart, but in the end, he also showed us that he regretted having that worldly ambition. So that should also be a lesson to us. Kripaluji Maharaj tells in every speech that he gives that never ask God for any worldly thing. Just surrender yourself and leave it up to him. That is the best form of bhakti. We'll learn more about selfless and selfish bhakti tomorrow when we hear the story of Sudama. Tonight, before we finish, I just want to highlight a couple of other points about this story of Prahlad that are very important for a person to keep in mind with regards to bhakti. The first was, you just heard, not asking for any worldly thing. Just surrender. The second, what he taught his friends. Start devotion now. Ko hi janati kasyadya mrityu kalo bhavishyati. Mahabharata. Who knows when they're going to die? Nobody knows. दो बातन को भूल मत जो चाहसी कल्याण नारायण एक मौत को दूजो Shri Bhagavan. Narayan Swami, a great saint, says, if you want to attain your ultimate happiness in this life, then always keep two things in mind. Of course, you can guess one would be God. But before saying that, he gave the other thing more importance. He said it first. He said, your mouth, your death, keep that in mind first. Then think of God. Why? So you don't put off thinking of God. Oh yes, I know I have to do devotion. All the scriptures are telling me to do devotion. But not yet, not right now. We either put it off for later in life, or we put it off for, next weekend or next year, or even we put it off for later today. If we're putting it off, it means we haven't understood this basic truth that there's no guarantee that we're going to live to next year, or next weekend, or tomorrow, or even later today. Nobody knows when they're going to die. Young, old, healthy, unhealthy, anyone can die at any time. So start worshipping God now. This is what Prahlad showed us through his teachings to his own friends. Why don't we start devotion now? Sometimes it's because we don't realize the value of what we could get if we attain God. And sometimes it's because we think if we do devotion, hamara sansar bigad jayega. We actually think by doing devotion, my physical life will fall apart. My family, my job, everything. I don't know what scripture that's stated in, what saint has established this great truth that everybody seems to know, that if I do devotion, the rest of my life will be over. People have this fear with, that's what, I'll wait till I'm old when the rest of my life is finished. I have nothing left to live for. Then I'll do devotion. Then I'll have nothing to lose. So then I'll start devotion. So whatever is our confusion, we have some reason that we're not going to start devotion now. Other things are more important, or we're afraid of losing those things if we do start devotion. So Prahlad says, no. Wherever you are, start devotion now. Prahlad didn't go to the jungle. He ruled a kingdom for years. He just kept his mind in God all the time. So he's not giving you sannyas ka upadesh. Nor did Krishna give that teaching in the Gita. He didn't tell Arjuna to walk away from the war and go remember him in the jungle. He said, remember me while you fight the war. So you can start devotion now. The other 2 points have to do with the practical form of devotion. Prahlad told his father about Navadha Bhakti. And he also taught his father about God's omnipresence. These are the 2 facets of practical devotion. If someone says, what do I have to do? If I want to do bhakti, tell me what to do. So there's 2 parts of it, or 2 facets of it. There's what you're doing right now, where you cease all worldly activities and you only do devotion. And then there's the part where you're actively doing something physically in the world, work or some chores or something, yet you're remembering God. Both are the practical aspect of devotion, and both complement each other. One is called karma sannyas. You're all sannyasis right now. You're not thinking about the world, you're thinking about God, and you're not involved in any worldly activity. So you're doing karma sannyas right now. In fact, for much of the time you're here in the ashram, you're doing karma sannyas. When you're taking care of some family duty or you're doing work, but at the same time you're thinking of God, you're doing karma yoga. That means physical activity with mental remembrance of God. So how do you do the mental remembrance throughout the day? You just remember that God is with you. That's it. He's omnipresent. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvancha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sachame na pranashyati. Gita. Shri Krishna says, the one who sees me everywhere, wherever he goes, and who always remembers that I'm with him. He's never apart from me, and I'm never apart from him. This is the practical form of devotion. Now, listen how Kripaluji Maharaj makes it even more practical, because that's a general statement that God is in everything and he's everywhere, so you're never alone. But how do you practically apply that? Kripaluji Maharaj says, when you're at work or when you're at school or whatever you're doing, when you start your day, you choose a place where Krishna is going to be. He's your companion for the day. Maybe he's sitting on your desk. Maybe he's standing next to the desk. Or maybe you drive for a living, so he's in the passenger seat. Or wherever he is, you choose a place and he's there. And every hour on the top of the hour, you stop what you're doing just for a moment or a few moments. Like about as long as it takes you if you were to look at the clock and see what time is it. How long has Nikhilanand Bhaiya been talking for? Like when is the workday over? Oh, that much longer to go. So it just takes a moment to look at the clock. So instead of just looking at the clock, you look at Krishna's place. Oh, good, he's still there. I'm not alone. It only took a moment. Your work, you weren't distracted from your work any more than, your mind is in something and you just, oh, I wonder what time it is. And then you go back to work. You can still do your work. So, oh yes, Krishna's there. Okay, go back to your work. Keep doing that every hour. When you get accustomed to that, then cut the time in half. Do it every half an hour. It's a discipline, actually. It is hard to remember to do that because you get so wrapped up in what you're doing. The day just sweeps you along like a wave. You get to the end of the day and, maybe you sat down at the start of the day and you put Krishna there and maybe you thought of him the first hour and then you forgot for the whole rest of the day. When you got home, you remembered. Okay, it's a start. Tomorrow, try to do it twice, 3 times, 4 times. Eventually, you'll get it every hour. Or maybe you set the chime on your watch. That's a good way to do it. Then cut it to every half an hour. Then every 15 minutes. Eventually, it'll become such a habit to just momentarily remember Krishna and that he's with you. You'll be remembering him and feeling his presence with you throughout the day. That's Karma Yoga. Along with that, you maintain a feeling that your whole life is for him. He's the soul of your soul. He's giving life to your soul. He gave you this human birth. All of us belong to him totally and completely, whether we accept it or not. If we accept it, it feels good. If we don't accept it, it means we're forgetting him, and then we get all the Mayic suffering only because we've forgotten him. So we can apply this Karma Yoga in our life, and then on the Karma Sannyas side, that means when we take time out from all of our worldly activities and we sit to do devotion, Dhruv told the 9 different ways of practicing bhakti. Although there are hundreds and thousands of ways to practice bhakti, saints have given prime importance to these 9 ways. But even out of those 9 ways in the Bhagavatam, out of those 9, 3 are given the most importance. Tasmat sarvatmana rajan hari sarvatra sarvada shrotavya kirtitavyascha smartavyo bhagavan nrinam. Shravan, Kirtan Smaran. Smaran is what I taught when I explained yesterday, Roop Dhyan. When you think of God's form, you're doing Smaran. Smaran means remembrance. You're thinking of God. So we learned that from Dhruv yesterday. We also learned Kirtan. Dhruv was repeating Vishnu's name. So he was doing Kirtan plus Smaran. What does Kripaluji Maharaj teach? What do we practice here in the mandir when we're doing devotion? We're doing Kirtan and Smaran. And the third form of bhakti, Shravan. That's what you're doing right now. So when we have satsang here at Radha Madhav Dham or in any of our satsangs around the world, what do? Only those three things. You sit, you listen to a speech of Kripaluji Maharaj or one of his pracharaks. You do Kirtan and you do Smaran. So whatever Maharaji is teaching is based on this philosophy of the Bhagavatam. That this is the core practice of bhakti. So you do that when you sit to do devotion. You do Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran. That purifies your heart and strengthens your devotion. And then you complement that by putting into practice that remembrance of Krishna throughout the day. So you're doing Karma Sannyas plus Karma Yoga. That's the actual form of bhakti. What do you have to do? We learn from the story of Prahlad and Dhruv. So tomorrow we'll hear a wonderful story which is also recounted in the Bhagavatam, the life of Sudama and his friendship with Krishna and his deep devotion for Krishna, and we'll see what